Well, I know you. I've been looking for a long time.
Oh, okay.
We were working. I got
That's right, I know. Morning. Carol?
But I think one of them, somebody asked out there.
I went back that way.
You will just come forward and speak.
He'll just call you forward.
Yes.
Sherry.
Sometimes we recognize you, sometimes we don't.
Come forward. Oh, when they,
The side of it, look
Well, it's because it's so much harder. But anyway, it was really wonderful. And I was surprised when he those every year. But this year it was really good. No, the mothers and parents for the students. They did a shepherd's hunt, which was in keeping with Irish. So it was fun. And there was a good crowd. And there were people just, yeah, they sat, there was, I don't know how many takes there were.
All right. This meeting is called to order. You didn't have to stand up yet.
all right. All right.
We have all directors present, which constitutes a quorum. We also have our executive officer, Richard Lawrence, and executive secretary, Benise Jensen here. If we can begin with an invocation from Ann Barron, I'd appreciate it. Good time to stand.
Father, in Jesus' name, we ask you for wisdom and foresight for our new board of directors. We thank these members for giving many hours of their time to do a necessary and thankless job. Give Fort Fox Springs Association a spirit of cooperation to deal with many complex issues facing our association. We pray for rain on our beautiful oasis in the desert, but please, Father, let it be liquid. In Jesus' name we pray.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It has been suggested by some that we discontinue doing the pledge to the Texas flag, and it could be considered when we pledge to the United States, that includes Texas. And so many people kind of stumble and aren't that familiar with it, so that's something I guess the board can decide at some point whether or not. I kind of thought it had been decided, but I guess not, so we need to handle that. Thank you.
Dan, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hear me now, okay. For the benefit of any of you who were not at the special meeting April 9th, I'm going to make a couple of very short, brief announcements here. One is a reminder, as to, I know most of you are well aware, this is a directors meeting, a board of directors meeting. It is not a town hall meeting. We can have town hall meetings, but this is not one. The purpose of this meeting is for the directors to conduct and administer the affairs and business of the association. We made a couple of changes that you may notice on the agenda. One is we've eliminated a 15-minute member discussion period at the end of the meeting, but we've replaced it with a members' comment section in front of the action items. It didn't seem to make a lot of sense to have discussion after everything was decided and voted on. So this allows the members to give us their input prior to our voting and discussing it. If you simply come forward at that point, if you have input on any of those items, and please be focused, be direct and concise, state whether you're for or against the item and why. At the end of the meeting, we have a visiting period. We tried that at the April 9th meeting. It seemed to work well. That's always, it's not written in stone, but we're going to try that. That allows the directors and you to mingle and discuss and bring up other concerns that you may have. Also on the agenda, directors can bring up or have anything they want placed on the agenda at any time. You as members can also request something to be placed on the agenda. Simply contact the director and say you'd like such and such considered to be put on the agenda to be dealt with, and that will be done. I think that pretty much covers most of what I had to say here, and so we can move forward. Thank you. Okay, within our consent agenda, all these items will be put forth and then voted on as one block. A director can have anything pulled from the consent agenda if they like, but this will help move the meeting along and make it a little more time efficient. So we'll start with approval of the minutes. Does anyone have any directors have any comments on those?
There's a couple of typographicals in there.
Okay. If you can submit those to the secretary to have them cleared up, that.
I can do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. And with that, does the secretary have any report?
I do not.
Okay, and we can move to treasurer's report.
The treasurer's report is, we're gonna give our bank accounts and the balances, and then actually what was transferred in the month of March from one account to the other account. So everybody knows, these are the reconciled bank statements for the month of March, the 31st. Texas Community Credit Card, $20,491.24. Texas Community Checking Account, $18,809.31. Texas Community Money Market Account, $2,564.85. Bracketville Bank and Trust General Fund, $115,912.06. Payroll Account, Bank and Trust, $5,191.10. Restricted Fund, $418,183. The Los Morris account, $1,638.14, for a subtotal of $582,789.70. We also have a Fort Clark Historic Building Preservation Fund, which comes out of the restricted fund for $18,645.53. The actual transfers for the month of March were $118,677.72 from the Texas Community Credit Card account to the Texas Community Checking account, and $64,000 was transferred from Bank and Trust General Fund to Bank and Trust Payroll account for a total of $182,677.72. Thank you.
Thank you. That moves us to the executive officer's report. Richard?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have put before you this morning this budget analysis. I apologize for getting it to you so late, but it wasn't finished until last night. I'll begin by saying that there are certain highlighted areas here that I'm going to be discussing. Remember that this is just a snapshot in time. This budget analysis is for the months of October through March 2018. It is at the halfway mark. We're now 6 months and a little more into the fiscal year. The bottom line, we always go to the bottom line first, and you'll see that our revenues or income exceeds our expenses by nearly $200,000, $199,320.86 to be exact. Now, before you get too excited about that, you need to realize that as we look at these various categories, there are some categories, income items, for example, that would be collected at the first of the year, so that eschews the budget figures. At the same time, there are some expenses that are paid in lump sum, not prorated over the 12 months. So, yes, the reality is that we have generated income of $200,000 more than expenses, but when we prorate those over the 12-month period of time, it balances out more. If you look at the very top of the first page where it says budget analysis for October to March 2018, you see membership assessments, FRM assessments, residential assessments, and all of those include prepaids. Somebody's getting a phone call. All of those includes prepaids. The tax assessment is a good example. You see that we had budgeted $68,000 for the tax assessment. And so for the 6-month period, it should be right at $34,000, when in fact we've collected $66,000. And so we show that we have $32,000 over budget. But these numbers, you will see, reflect also the fact that not only are there prepays, but we have made a very successful effort in collecting delinquencies as well. And so that's reflected in the increase in income as well. As you go down to 300028, hunt income, the deer harvest. You'll see that we budgeted $55,300 for the year. In fact, we have generated $105,023. That's $77,000 over what we budgeted. But in fact, it's nearly twice that's over what we budgeted for the year. And that will continue to grow a little bit, not substantially, but somewhat in the next month or two. Real estate income, as you go down further towards admin income total, 300101, real estate income, we had budgeted for the year $35,137. For the 6-month period, $17,568. But in fact, we have generated $48,648. So we are looking at a rather healthy real estate income there. Go down to motel income total, 300200. You'll see that we are down 34,733. We anticipated generating 149,494 by the 6th month, and sadly, we only generated 114,760. Now, not only is the motel income suffering, but it's going to continue to suffer because over the next 4 to 5 months, we will be shutting the buildings down so that we can do the plumbing renovations that we need to do there. So that will continue to hurt. However, the RV income, look down a little further, 300300 RV income total, we're showing $44,575 over what we anticipated. So that sort of compensates for the motel loss. 300400 recreation income total, well, we're $2,985 short of what we anticipated, but we are now just going into the summer months, and so that will correct itself. Golf income, 300600, is within $1,000 of the budget anticipated. So whereas we anticipated $67,164 by the mid-year, we in fact generated $66,112. I'd say that's very much on track. If you flip the page, these are the expenses. You'll see that the payroll is slightly higher than anticipated by 1%. So we are at 51% of the projected payroll, 6,483 over that item. Electricity is scaring me. I don't exactly know what's happening there. The electricity anticipated for the mid-year was $68,822. In fact, we spent $89,022. That's $20,200 over budgeted. We have a leak somewhere, and I don't exactly know what's going on, but we'll have to get to the bottom of that. So you see $20,000 over budget for electricity. Contract services, 430400 is the item number. We anticipated expenditures of $60,168, and in fact, it's $78,975. That's $18,807 more than we anticipated. And part of the reason for that is that we had a lump sum payment that we made to our accountant. That $18,000 is spread out over the last several months, and he submitted a bill all at once, and so that kind of hit us hard at that time. But still, our contract services are going above what we wanted it to do. And I think that once we make some adjustments in the some decisions about how we're going to move forward with our accountant, that should remedy itself. 430500 postage, that's a little item, only $1,865 over budget, but that is because I think that he miscategorized postage for the annual meeting and put it there instead of under the annual meeting expense. Building maintenance and repair, gentlemen, y'all will remember, those who were on the board last, that we did not budget for building maintenance and repair because we were going to develop the repair and replacement plan, and that's where all of our expenditures was to come from, but in the meantime, we had to move along. Gas and oil is $3,936 over budget. I'm going to credit that to the increase in prices, fuel prices. We are looking at some other options. We have it delivered to us. We may have to go across the street if it's cheaper. And then 430802 auditing annual expense. That was one of those lump sum payments that was not prorated over the 12 months. You'll see that we budgeted $35,000 and actually spent $32,670. Down towards the bottom, 433000, you'll see an IRS penalty of $5,134. That is a human error which occurred back in October, November of last year, and I believe that we have corrected that situation. I'm afraid that there may be another penalty coming down the pike, but we'll have to see. So as you see, when we look at expenses and income, we're okay. We're doing pretty good. We have $200,000 in excess of income over expenditures. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Richard. I'd like to comment on the income side under tax assessment 300022.
Yes, sir.
I wonder if that account could be relabeled as common property
It sure
assessment.
could. Yeah, I noticed that a couple of weeks ago that he was still doing that, but it's a common property assessment. We don't tax.
No, we have no license to tax, and we will hear about that from some people.
Yeah, let me fix that.
So that, yeah, that Randy can be aware of that. All right, thank you. The last item under the consent agenda is one that will evoke some moans and groans, I guess, and that's established 9:30 a.m. on the third Wednesday of every month to be the day and time of the regular meeting of the Board of Directors. We've already got some input on that. That is something that the board can look at and change if they care to. That is up to them. Our governing documents simply state that the Board of Directors shall meet once a month at a time and date that they agree on, that they determine. It's up to the board to determine that. And again, it's a directors meeting, so the first priority for that would be we need all the directors to be able to be there and handle the business, so we have to be able to work with the directors. We want to accommodate to the very best that we can the majority of members. But for right now, for next month, that meeting will be on Wednesday, the third Wednesday of the month at 9:30, and we'll see where we end up going from there. With that, do we have a unanimous approval for the consent agenda? All those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, we have a unanimous consent to the consent agenda. Next, we do committee reports. And do we have someone from the airport committee?
The airport emailed me one. Would you like me to read it?
Sure, go ahead.
Airport Committee Report, April 2018. Had 3 guest pilots this month, 2 overnight, 1 day trip. Currently hosting a pilot event at the airport. Expect to see an increase in aircraft flying over the fort. Supporting UT Austin students on April 28th for lizard study.
Thank you. Architectural committee.
Hi, I'm Bob. Apologize because I am really new to this. So we've had 11 approved permits and 2 tabled for this month so far.
All right, thank you. The equine committee.
construction has begun on the first stall on the north side of the building. We have 2 walls up as of last night. It's slow going, but it's going to look awesome. Thank you to the board for their help in this matter. Thank you for the 2 of you coming to visit. Wasn't expected, but it was, I think, productive. I hope it was on both sides. And that's about all we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Finance Advisory Committee. The Golf Committee.
Yeah, I'm right here. We just finished our tournament, our Toby Nelson tournament. It was very successful. Everybody was happy. We increased our scholarships by $500 this year. And everybody said they're coming back, and now we're planning on another 2-day tournament for the fall. Also, with Debbie not being able to be on the golf committee anymore, we have an open spot. We voted unanimously for Trent Brown, who probably knows more about golf than I don't know anybody. So that's what I'll look at.
Thank you. Are you David Mann?
I am.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, sir.
I do have a little bit more on the golf. The figures were up on the golfers for the month of March by 295 to be exact. So 277 of that was members, either prepaid members or pay-as-they-play members, and 18 more guests. So it was up, which is very good to see that on the course. I did also put out a notice last night on the Facebook page that if you're golfing, please obey the 90-degree rule, as it's getting very dry out there. And you can use the cart path on either side, but please try to obey the 90-degree rule, and let's try to save what grass we've got.
Thank you. Historic Building Repair and Preservation Committee.
They did meet last month. I think Community Council has another person they want to put on there for my position. I have offered to meet with these people if they would like my input or structure when they start having their meetings, once they decide who's going to do what position as president, secretary, and stuff like that. But I think they have appointed somebody down here. I just don't know who yet.
Thank you. And they'll bring that forward to the board for official appointment. Recreation Committee. Recycling.
Recycling, bad news followed by more bad news. Unfortunately, we are, as I think I mentioned, no longer being paid for mixed paper. We can ship it and we can pay the transportation cost, but we receive zero as of this point in time. CTRA is working as hard as they can to find a new vendor. Del Rio has arranged something to send their mixed paper to Mexico. We apparently don't have that opportunity because we don't have the means to get the paper to Mexico. So this creates a huge problem. We shipped a load yesterday, and that's the next bad news point. That was our last subsidized load under the Carbon Council grant. It seems that some of our grant money went to the school as well, and they purchased a trailer to move cartons back and forth, and that came out of the budget that I thought was all for club. So we have no more subsidized transportation. The load yesterday was 46 galos, 26 of them were mixed paper. That guarantees pretty much that no matter what we ship and when we ship it, we're going to go negative on the loads if we send mixed paper. We really need to look at whether it costs us more to put it in the landfill or to pay the shipping and get it out of here. And I would like to suggest that I have an appointment with Richard and we go over the entire process.
Thank you, Judy. Community Council.
Good morning. Community Council, we had our meeting this last week.
followed by an open house for all court members. It was very well received. We had participation from almost every club, service. Excuse me. I lost it. We're also considering having another one in the fall or the winter. Community Council would like to thank everyone who participated and came to the open house. We'd like to thank Caroline for all her help in gathering court information and info on all the various committees and clubs. And thanks to maintenance for moving my tables for me. I would also like to thank all the local artisans that donated items for our door prizes. Susan Hughes, I'm sorry, has been appointed to the Preservation Committee to represent Community Council for the vacated spot, or to be vacated by WL6.
Did you get that, Pam? In future, I think it would be a good idea if all you committee chairs and reporters, if you don't mind, if you come forward to the microphone. Some of us probably don't hear as well as some others may, and so we appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm not quite done. Let's see, Bob Hendricks has been added as our member at large for Community Council. An ad hoc committee was created to formed to put together like a welcome packet for new or prospective residents. And lastly, our free monthly movie has been well attended. And now that it's getting too hot to do it in the theater, we're going to be moving it either to the quarry or the pool throughout the summer, hopefully in conjunction with the Family Fun Day. And our next movie night is tentatively set for Saturday, May 27th. The movie is yet to be decided. I think that's all I have.
Thank you, Lisa. If anyone has comments, input for us on the action items about to come up, would you please step forward to the microphone?
Sandy Hagan, Unit 27. Only one, and that's on the choice of the golf committee as far as Trent Brown. The bylaws for the golf committee require one member from the Ladies Golf Association, one member from the Men's Golf Association, and 3 at-large members. And there are no ladies representatives on the golf committee at this point, so appointing Trent Brown actually violates the bylaws, although he's a really good source. Just letting you know what the bylaws say for the Golf Association.
Sandy?
Yeah.
Are these the bylaws of the golf committee?
Yes, they are.
Okay,
Yes, the bylaws of the golf committee.
thank you.
For action item B, I'd like to say,
Name and unit.
oh, Tiana Johnson, I don't know what my unit is, Sunset Lane. I don't know what unit it is. I am for the members for profit for using the common property. We've been having a great time having classes at the Adult Center and in the Teen Center, and all the people that are attending are really enjoying those. And that's one reason why I moved here, is to enjoy those things together as a community.
Thank you.
Okay, Sherry Dobbs, Unit 1, and addressing the same item. I'm also part of the yoga class, have been for years, both on Fort Clark and when it was in town, and consider it a really valuable part of what's going on the fort. And one of the things that draws people in, the increased activities, the more we have to offer, the more enticing we might seem to others. And also, there is a difference between for-profit and getting compensation for the materials provided in those classes. If an artist comes and provides paint materials for teach a class, then, and collects money for that, that isn't considered profit, that's considered materials for the class. And the same with things like yoga, where the yoga mats, et cetera, not the mats, but the blocks and the stretchers and the exercise balls are all provided for us by the instructor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jennifer Link, Unit 12, and same action item, Action B. I have a lot of friends that are photographers that use common property for their little small photography business, and they make a profit, and they get a way to express their art and offer wonderful service to our community, and I would love to see them to be able to continue to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that,
Just a quick comment, if you'd make a few more copies of the financials and stuff, if you arrive late, and invariably they're gone. So we had a 15-minute report and we had nothing to look at. It's too late.
Do you want one now?
we will take note of that, thank
Thank
you.
I'm sorry, the 15-minute report may have been referring to the report that I gave to the board regarding the budget analysis. That's a report that has not been approved until I give it, so.
Okay.
And Mayor, on Unit 36, I can't really make a sensible question ahead of time because I don't know that much about item F. But being in Unit 36 across from Unit 37, which could happen there, could bleed into our area, I would like to know what do the members need to do in a certain unit in order to see what the whole unit thinks about these items that are coming up. I just have this question so that you can tell the members what they need to do in order to change the restrictions in those units.
Okay, thank you, yeah. All right, we're moving to the action items. First one on the list is consideration for approval of the revised bylaws. And we have a copy. I don't know if there were copies made available. They haven't been approved officially yet, so there may not be copies available to you till after that. Is that
After they're approved.
correct? Okay. There was one additional section added since our last workshop where we all agreed, otherwise it's exactly the same as what came out of that workshop. And that would be number 10. Yeah, I'm trying to look for, under Article 4, section through number 3, subsection 10, I guess. Maria, Secretary, would you like to read that move?
Yes, this is under the annual election, and it's paragraph 10. If a member does not receive part or all of their allotted ballots, the member may submit in writing to the Secretary of the Board of Directors a replacement request. The Secretary will oversee the replacement ballot issuing process and will furnish a hand receipt to document how many replacement ballots were issued and to whom. The auditing firm will validate the ballots received, and if a member has sent more than the allotted ballots allowed, all of the members' ballots will be deemed invalid.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Do we have a motion to approve these bylaws?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion by Debbie Isaacs, a second by John Holt. All those in favor? Approved unanimously. Next item is consideration for approval of a policy to allow use of common property by members for profit. And I guess whether it's for profit or not can be arbitrary. It may be intended to be profitable or not be profitable, it may be intended not to be profitable and end up being profitable. But I think we get the idea. There's, as I see it, three possible solutions to this. One, we cannot allow use of our common facilities and property if there's going to be a fee charged to the members. That's one. Two, we can allow it, but charge a daily use fee, a reasonable daily use fee to govern expenses to the association, such as cost of air conditioning, whatever. Or three, to allow it, but charge a reasonable rental fee. And I've heard arguments for and against it both ways, and so I'll turn it over to the rest of the directors and see what their feelings and thoughts are. Thank you.
I have a question. Is there an original complaint or email or something that is driving this? As I didn't see anything, so I'm just asking.
I think the need for a policy, so we have ordered our operation,
Don't we
would
need to
be the
make a motion to
driving force
discuss this?
for the need of to it.
We need to make a motion
Yes.
to be able to
Well,
discuss.
yeah. Yeah, you can make a motion to discuss
I'll make
it,
a motion that we
discuss it,
discuss it.
and come up with a solution.
Yes.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Okay. There had been complaints by 3 or 4 people that I heard, 3 or 4 members, that prefer to remain anonymous, so I don't know how much stock you want to put into it, but they had concerns of using it, and they say that it can spread from there to other things. That's their position.
And you're talking about the teen center, is that the specific
That's,
spot?
we're talking about the yoga classes at the teen center that are carried on. I understand they're semi-private, they're advertised, and that there's a charge of, I believe, $40 a month. That's what I've heard. I'm not sure. I'm not into yoga.
Excuse me, Dan, are you saying that this action item pertains specifically to yoga and the teen center and not to other community property for profit?
As you read, and we already heard from you, this is between the directors, but the action item says a policy. A policy would apply to all of our common property and common facilities for whatever.
Mr. President, if I may interject.
Please.
A couple of other things. There have been other activities of this sort. What comes to mind is an art class in the ceramics room there at the adult center. That was one. A cooking class, I think, was another. Swimming in the pool, as charades, you did that there. Swimming in the pool was another one. When we saw that these things were happening, we also discussed with our risk management risk manager, who said that we need to create another layer of protection for the fort if these activities are to take place, and so we do now require that they provide some insurance as well. So just throw that into the pot too.
I understand that, thank you. We also have put an end, we have denied people that were giving swimming lessons, and
we did,
but
they would have been allowed to had they had the insurance.
I don't know if they were given the opportunity, but at any rate, what we've done in the past, you know, we've always done it that way. Well, right now, we need to set a policy of how we want to do it from this point forward.
I wasn't voicing an opinion, you
Yeah.
understand?
No, I think your opinion is more than welcome.
How much is that insurance is required?
I think it depends on the-
275 or whatever it is?
I paid 200 for mine.
So yeah, so I was gonna say is that when you factor in the costs that it takes to actually put on whatever class it is or whatever event it is, and you factor in $200 in one case, $275 for another case, on top of having to provide all the equipment for whatever that is, that I don't know what the art class was providing, but I know for the swimming class, they were providing all of the safety equipment for the children. But they also did not have insurance, and at that time there was no requirement for it. So I think in general, if this is my opinion, if it's an event that is for membership to participate in, and if the member that is putting on that event is making it exclusively for that and not requiring that they have to bring their own stuff, then I think it, if you're looking at numbers, I don't see how someone would be making money if they're providing all of this stuff. I'm just speaking about a couple of the activities that I know about.
We want to keep it as simple as possible. By the way, in the art class that I keep hearing, where do they give their art classes? Do they do it at the art club?
If I'm remembering correctly, it was at the art classes were given at the ceramic shop there behind the adult center.
I know where it is, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
That's my recollection anyway.
They also give some at the art studio, or they used to.
In the art studio they rent, correct?
But they do rent out.
They lease that,
They
so
lease that.
that no longer becomes common property.
When I do have a question about the insurance itself. So are the buildings, when we, like, if you go work out at the adult center, is that not insured if somebody gets hurt based on faulty equipment? So then what would be the difference between a member wanting to bring other members to a facility and needing that extra insurance? Because I don't understand why they would need to purchase their own
If
insurance.
there's a person or an organization who's acting independently of the Ford, and then, and as you say, being charging others to do this, our risk manager says that we need to create another level of protection for the Ford. Let's say a person is doing an exercise class and is charging other members to do that exercise class, so that person becomes a separate entity from the Ford. And if they were to twist their ankle or break a leg or something of that sort, it would fall first to that person and then to the Ford for compensation or what have you for the injury.
So, but our insurance that we have in all of our buildings, the members already pay for that with our assessments, correct?
Yes, you could say so.
I think moving on here, does anyone else have any comments?
Well, I would have to, Jennifer made a statement that you do have photographers in here that do take pictures, and if these aren't members of the fort and something they fall and break a leg, where does that come into play? I mean, it's a good point to look at.
I mean,
Like somebody comes in here and they're gonna do a photography shoot on here, they're making money. Whoever's taking the photos are making money. And if it is on common ground and a kid slips into the creek and drowns, here again, that person is making money on our common property. So you can't just look at the youth center. You're gonna have to look a bigger, broader picture.
would they be taking the photos for the association?
I think some of them take them for themselves to make profit because of the beauty of the fort.
So if I go out there with my camera and take a picture of you playing golf,
And you get
and I
paid
fall,
for it. If you get paid for it,
by who?
by me, to take that photo.
Okay, and now
Or
I
you
slip
sell
and
it.
fall, then
Or
I
you
can.
sell that photo.
Well, it's the same, you gotta stop and look, it's the same concept.
Sure it is.
Yeah, all right. Is there any more discussion?
I also do know that because of this insurance, we have lost all of our fundraising golf tournaments because they take, to make a profit off of the golf, which the golf course is insured, we have lost probably around $2,000 to $3,000 this past year because Del Rio's giving it to them for free. They don't have to have the insurance over in Del Rio. I do know for a fact our golf figures have gone down because of it in green fees, trail fees, rentals, and beer sales.
Yeah. What do you think we should do?
I don't know, I think we need to discuss it a little further,
I do too.
but you gotta look at the broader picture. You just can't say because of the yoga class. And, if she's not making money, I don't know what kind of money but if she's paying $200, how many people is it taking in that class to pay that $200 insurance? So is she making a profit? I don't know. I don't know the background or none of that, but
Well, I think the association should at least be compensated for expenses incurred. I don't know that we should pay for air conditioning when it's being used just for that purpose.
no, I
and there's a
agree, but I
fee charged.
just don't want to limit one thing to one aspect because we got a bigger picture all over the fort.
And one last interjection, and that is that we have to also decide, do we want to make it easy for activities to be
Yes, we
to
do.
be made available for the membership?
Yes, we do.
And so how do we make
So,
it easy?
well,
That's the question.
Yeah, that's the question, and I think that it's a question that cannot be answered this morning without researching the whole thing and deciding, are we nitpicking here and we're not covering ourselves over here? It is a wider thing than just somebody going into a room and having an exercise party.
What, would you maybe like to table this motion
I would love to take
to it, and then maybe you, John, and Debbie to work together on researching or getting whatever information you think we need?
I do think we need some more information before we just cut it off and say, because then you're gonna have a lot more people. And it could be members versus non-members on that insurance thing.
That's exactly.
I don't know, but there needs to be a bigger study done
Are
on
the
it.
two of you willing to do that?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
I would suggest you get with the insurance agent too to find out what kind
Well,
of a blanket,
certainly.
what kind of a blanket coverage could be.
He's always willing to talk these things over.
Sure.
That may solve it by
But
spreading it out to the whole.
I'll make a motion to table this until the committee.
Would you add on it that the executive committee of yourself and Debbie Isaacs gets the information we need?
Yes.
Okay, that's a friendly amendment to your motion.
Friendly amendment.
Could I add one comment to that? I think as opposed to just solely looking at like how we charge or if we charge or what that is, but also the possibility of if it's a service or an event or a group that is enjoyed by the membership, the possibility of even having the fort provide that and compensate the instructor as well as an
I think
option.
that's some of the stuff that we need to look at, and we definitely don't want to choke our
Talent.
golf down to where people can't come because they can't afford it. We need to look at all that. I mean, in other words, we want people to come here and spend money where we won't have to raise assessments.
You're absolutely right. Right now, we have a motion on the table.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, the motion and a second to table this matter to next month's board meeting, and that Debbie Isaacs and John Hope will function as an executive committee to investigate further the needs of the fort and the membership regarding it. All those in favor? Done. Okay, the next item, consideration for approval to dissolve and disband the Financial Advisory Committee. That committee had a lot of obstacles during the past year and was unable to really come up with a lot regarding our finances. They came up with some wonderful, elaborate information and ideas on a planning basis, and even came up with a vision statement. However, some things have changed since then. On the recommendation of our auditor, we should obtain the services of a full-time employee to function as a comptroller. This association has been fooling around with their financial records and computer records now for many years, and they've always been inaccurate. There's been so many problems with them. We have old, outdated systems. There's been numerous attempts to fix them and patch them together, and the result has always been the same, not good. So the auditor has recommended that we obtain the services and hire a full-time comptroller, someone that is qualified, that has a degree, a college 4-year degree in accounting, preferably a CPA, but at least a 4-year degree in accounting and a experience to back up with that. Now, we know that's going to cost a fair amount of money, especially getting someone here to do it. But there are items in our budget that are being looked at and adjustments contemplated for the future that would allow us to cover the cost involved with that. And so with that, if there is a need, if it is determined that there is a need for a finance committee, it can be reformed under the guidance and advice of someone that is actually knowledgeable and educated and experienced in that area. So based on that, I'm asking for a motion for, at this point, to dissolve this committee, and then we'll go forward in the future.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion to dissolve and disband the Financial Advisory Committee in a second. Do we have any discussion? All those in favor? Next item, we have 2 letters from Debbie Isaacs in which she resigns from the Golf Committee and the Historic Preservation Committee. And do we need to read those letters?
I just want everybody to know that I did not vote in anything since March the 31st. I have just been trying to clear up some financial stuff and the scholarships and things like that, but I have not voted on anything in either committee.
Tying loose ends together. Okay, do we have a motion to accept Debbie's resignations?
I motion we accept Debbie's resignation from the Golf Committee and also from the Historic Preservation Committee.
I second that.
We have a motion to accept the resignations in a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Passes. All right, the next item is consideration for committee appointments. In this case, appointment of a new member to the Golf Committee and possibly the Historic Preservation Committee if we have someone's name for that. I was told we might possibly, and so just to make sure it was on the agenda, we put it there. If we do not have a name, it'll have to be moved forward. But for now, regarding the Golf Committee, Sandy Hagan has provided us some new information that I was not aware of. I don't know about the rest of you.
I wasn't aware of it.
No, I wasn't either. As far as Trent Brown being appointed to the committee, he should be an ex officio member of the committee anyway because he's our designated club pro, and so that's not the same as an appointed member. So I would say we can let Trent know that he's an ex officio member and should be participating in those meetings. To replace Debbie on the committee, I think I'm going to suggest that we table this appointment to next month.
Yes, Dan, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the Ladies Association has already decided who their member should be.
Okay.
And I gave that information to Debbie.
Yeah, I got it in a text message.
Okay. Is there,
I did not know they were voting. At the time they voted, they were supposed to be discussing something else, but I did not know that they were voting on that particular item.
are you part of that?
I did not join this year, no. I am not a member of the ladies golf anymore.
Okay. Were there any minutes or record or anything kept?
Yeah.
Had them, okay. And I take it you're representing the ladies golf committee? Does anyone have any suggestions, questions?
I do. Would it be better for us to receive something in writing from the golf committee saying what the bylaws show? Because I don't know what their bylaws are. And then a letter from the Women's Golf Association saying who they would like to recommend. That's what we've required of the other committees.
Are you the secretary, Helena?
I am, and I could easily transmit the minutes.
But you verify that the bylaws of the golf committees?
I don't know, I'm not part of the golf committee.
That's why I'm asking, and maybe they can provide that in writing and just with the excerpts as applicable. And then, like when the airport committee had to appoint members, we had to provide justification for why this individual was a good candidate for it. So that's all I'm saying.
There used to be a makeup, and it used to include the par 3. And they used to have a representative there. I do know that. I don't know the makeup for sure, as far as who was golf course and who was member at large. I don't have those notes somewhere. I looked for them. But the golf committee represents the whole golf course. And if Sandy has those, then she can submit them. I couldn't find the notes on it. But also, I've been on the golf committee for 5 years, and it's supposed to be a 2-year term.
I guess the point is, we need a copy or something of the golf committee bylaws that state they should have one member from the ladies golf.
I have that.
Good. Can you present that to the board today?
I can,
Have a
after the
copy
meeting,
made?
go get it and bring it up and have her make copies for it. Or I can just have her
We're gonna have to table this.
Yeah, could I
email it to you by attachment.
We can do an email vote.
Yes, once that, we can do an email vote to decide the issue.
And who are you
So-
recommending? Who are they recommending?
Sandy Hagan.
The Ladies Golf League, Ladies Golf Association, at their last meeting, chose me to be the representative for the Ladies Golf Association to the golf committee.
We can do one of two things. We can either move this forward to have an email vote, or we could also appoint Sandy Hagan, subject to being provided the necessary information regarding the bylaws of the golf committee.
Yeah, I was gonna say either way. We just let them email us the meeting decision and the bylaws on the thing, and we can just vote by email sometime during the week.
We certainly can.
That works for me.
Okay, can we have a motion to that effect?
Yes, I make a motion that we look at the meeting from the committee of the appointment of the person that they want to put on the committee, and then a copy of the part in the bylaws where it says that the women's golf committee has to have somebody on the board. And then we can email a vote on that, or we can accept that as a vote now based on the fact that we get this information motion.
I think the easy way to do it
You
is...
can't go both ways.
No.
You gotta make a motion to either do it by email or vote now.
I'd say the email is fine. I don't think the golf committee meets till Wednesday.
It'll be the second Wednesday of the month.
Okay, so we have...
Tuesday, actually.
we have plenty of time to take care of this during the coming week before the
We'll have
next meeting.
I second the motion to acquire the information necessary for us to make an email vote.
Okay, have a motion to refer this matter to an email vote in the coming week after receiving the necessary requested information regarding the golf committee's bylaws and the recommendation from the ladies golf committee. All those in favor? Okay. The next item,
I believe that community council did have Susan Hughes to be their representative for the historic building. But so that should not have to be board approved because they have their own
they
two,
appoint
two,
their
two, and one, yes.
We could make note of it though in our minutes, right?
Yes, exactly.
Can we direct the secretary to make note in the minutes that Susan Hughes will be assigned to the Historic Building Preservation Committee by the Community Council? All right, the next item is a request for a variance on the common ground in Unit 37, Lot 12. This is hardly needed now because the situation has changed and it's going to be a temporary variance. We're talking about the use of a portable, removable, small fence coming off the owner's back patio behind their house from their property line, extending 10 feet into the common area, and then with a width of 35 feet along his patio. This is something he needs temporary. This property has sat vacant for a number of years, was recently purchased. There's been a number of substantial improvements and construction taking place, and so he's had a need to put this little fence there in order to let his little dogs out the back door. The common area extends quite wide there, I'd say at least 150 feet or 200 feet, and he's only going into them 10 feet. With the configurations of trees and so on, it will not interfere with any other member, and it would only be for a period of 30 days, upon which time he would have to remove it. So I would ask, based on that information, for an approval of this temporary 30-day variance.
I would make a motion we accept it for 30 days.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Do we have a second? Any discussion?
I do. I just want to make sure I understand. When it's related to common property, the process is to go straight to the board for request for variances versus private property, it's architecture committee first, correct? Is that the process?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Are we setting ourselves up for a precedent of anyone who wants to request to use some of our common property to just come to the board and ask to use it and then be granted that? That's my only concern, that we're setting a precedence that anybody can go.
But it's been that way for 25, 30 years.
Yes, sir.
It's also on a case-by-case basis. We do not have to approve a variance.
Yeah,
But it's been going on for a long time, and
No, you're right, it has, and there's a lot of variances out there.
that's right, and
But the point is that this is up front and above board, that it's being asked for,
exactly right.
and we're granting it, and it's only for a 30-day period.
I don't see nothing wrong with it.
Yeah,
I'm just
understand what you're saying.
I'm just
saying
asking with the
that
precedence factor, that's all.
It's already we've already set a
You betcha.
So we have a list somewhere of all the variances that that the board has approved?
I'm sure we do.
Common ones?
My understand, not to all of them, but I know there are some that there is documentation in the files on a lot of properties that variance sometimes has to be reapproved when somebody else buys the property even sometimes.
No.
It doesn't always go with the, no?
Nope.
Let's see, 'cause this
Some
kind
of
of-
the variants that were issued were basically go with the property, not with the person who.
Oh, okay.
If the property gets sold, the
Variance just
stays.
goes with it.
Yeah.
That's some more education that we need to get a hold of
You
then.
betcha. You
So-
betcha.
So then, by approving this variance, who is going to be enforcing it? Does that now become the architecture committee's responsibility? Does that become the fort's?
No, you need to read the charter for the architectural committee. They're limited to enforcing the CC&Rs of each unit. They specifically have no authority over common property or common ground, nor do they have any authority and are specifically prohibited from issuing any variances. And that's pretty much standard procedure throughout the land.
Which is, I understand that, and I do get that, but I'm saying after we approve this variance, who then is the one with the clock that says, okay, this is 30 days, are you done?
That's Ms. Perkins.
Is that me? Do I have to do that?
If you
Well, I think
go
it's,
there
well, I think
30
it's a
days,
valid question.
They violate the variance request, they need to be sent a letter after 30 days that they have to move it, or they are something to pay assessment fund.
So, but who's responsible for saying, here's 30 days later? Is that Mr. Lawrence's office? Is it seriously me? Or, you know, I'm just asking this question because,
It's an administration function.
okay.
Once it's brought to them.
Did you take it to understand it?
I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Approved. We now move to all unfinished business. We had, since the last meeting, 2 email votes taken. One was to change the meeting day from the third Saturday of each month to the third Monday of each month. That has subsequently been overruled and replaced to the third Wednesday of each month. But that was done by an email vote and it needed to be reported. There was also an email vote to enter into a non-binding agreement with the Texas Veteran Commission and the Texas Workforce Solutions, which is a program that can provide workers at an entry-level basis, and which they pay for the first 8 weeks of that worker's salary. And at the end of that time, then there's a determination made whether they're to be offered a regular position here. We have not selected or hired anyone from that. Initially, we were going to, that didn't work out. And so that's just a non-binding agreement we entered into. And those were the 2 email votes done. I would also now move forward to new business.
Could I just make a statement?
Absolutely.
On the email vote with the meetings, that was approved with, that if it doesn't work for members, that we might change it to evenings, because there was a lot of comment that people would like it during the week in the afternoon. This is a trial basis, and we are open to moving it what works for everybody involved. So if you've got a concern, just please put a concern in the box up front as to when you would like to see it. And this is not a permanent set date.
Thank you, you're right, although I don't think we'll ever come up with something that works for everybody with 2,000.
No, but we do
2,000
need to
members.
listen to our members in a point.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
And the suggestion box up front will be monitored by the board members. So if you've got suggestions, if you've got things you want to look at, if you've got volunteer programs you want to be involved in, please put a suggestion in the box, in the front office.
Okay, next, is new business. Assignment of board liaisons to board committees. I know we have Debbie Isaacs has volunteered to act as a board liaison to the golf committee, and so I would suggest that we do that with all her knowledge and past involvement there. Would someone make a motion to appoint Debbie Isaacs to the golf, as board liaison to the golf committee?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, next would be Bill Herman to be the liaison to the Architectural Committee, which he's been involved with for many, many years. Can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that Bill does the board liaison to the architectural.
I second that.
All those in favor? Okay, do we have, and if we don't do this, complete it today, which we won't, every committee doesn't necessarily need a board liaison. Oh, we also need to appoint Maria Perkins as board liaison to the airport committee.
I thought we had already done that.
Have we already done that?
Well, I thought we'd done that at our first meeting.
You wanted to do it at this meeting?
Okay,
I'll
I'll
make-
make a motion that we make Ms. Perkins liaison for the airport committee.
We appointed Brent Hollingsworth to the airport committee as a
Yes, we have.
replacement.
I will second that motion.
All those in favor? Are there any other directors volunteering for any other committees?
I did offer up to be a consultant for a short period of time. I do not want the actual full-time person, but I have offered up as a consultant for the historic building until they get up and running.
Good, I appreciate that, and I think would say go forward. Does anyone have objections to that, or no? So you're good to go there. I was the past liaison, but some things have to be worked out because their meetings are on the third Wednesday of the month, right?
But not until later in the day.
3 o'clock. We won't be here until 3.
Our meetings
Well, that committee's almost a whole new committee, barring a couple of people on it. So they really need to elect a president, a vice president, a secretary, and a treasurer. So
So we'll wait until
they may even want to change the date and time of that meeting.
So we'll have to wait until they get that sorted out. Okay, next on the agenda is a discussion of the association management platforms. And what this has to do with our computer systems, our management of our records, membership records, accounting records, everything. And as I mentioned earlier, we're going to need to have the guidance if we end up with the comptroller, which could be a few months down the road, but it's in the pipe and coming down. Richard, did you have something you wanted to say on that?
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I think you skipped B, but listen. We'll come back to it.
Oh, yes, I skipped the hearing request, thank you. Let's stay with the management platforms. I was going to propose that we appoint Maria Perkins and Debbie Isaacs as an executive committee to work with Richard in determining and finding out where we're at and making recommendations on where we need to go, keeping in mind that they cannot take any action. They can recommend to the board what be done, and that we want to get the input and guidance from someone with expertise and certification in accounting.
I would like to say one thing.
Please.
If we hire a CPA or equivalent to the CPA, I think that it would be inappropriate for us to hire him and say, you gotta use these books. I think that he should have an input on what kind of system that we are using.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm saying here, John, that they can start at, there's not going to be a real rush for it, but they can start looking at what we have, what they feel we may need, but no decisions will be made without the input of this new person.
Okay.
Okay. With that in mind, could I have a motion to appoint Maria and Debbie under those circumstances to work with Richard towards this end.
Make that a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor? Passes. Going backwards, under new business, we have a member hearing request. This is a member who has requested a hearing over the suspension of privileges, membership privileges, and although he didn't state that in his request, I'm sure there'll be a dispute over certain assessments that the member feels he should not have to pay. He requested this hearing to be in an open session. I'm going to recommend and ask the board to approve it. We have to respond to this. The legal requirement is we have to give the member at least a 10-day notice of the time, date, and place of the hearing. And I propose we'll do more than that. I'm going to propose that that hearing be granted at in an executive session at the conclusion of the May 16th board meeting. The member also said that he was available, first we were going to have it today, but he was available not until May 4th or something to June 1st, but he will be available May 16th. I would also ask the board to allow me to express to him that that hearing will be in an executive session, not an open session, and that, which we have a legal right to do, there is no requirement that it be given in an open session, and that the format will be that he will be given a limited amount of time to present his case, and then he will leave, and the board will deliberate and take into consideration his case, make their determination, and give him a proper notice as required by law as to the outcome. So I would ask the board to approve that action.
I have one question. When we say that we're taking the privileges away, do we have a list of that?
Membership privileges, yes, we do. They're, I believe, included in the Declaration of Protective Restrictions, and they're not listed A, 1, 2, 3, 4, but
No, they're not. I mean, you have to go through there and come up.
Find them yourself, yeah.
Generally speaking, it's the use, the access, the enjoyment of all common properties of the poor.
I think that we should write that out somewhere.
It's in the Declaration as such, but we should, I agree with you, we should be more precise.
Yeah, a little more precise on it, because this gentleman is very precise.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
I think that we need to come up, when you say a limited amount of time for him to speak, I think you have to give him an exact limited amount of time.
I have one in mind, like 15 minutes.
Okay.
Because we do want to get this concluded in the year 2018.
That should be in the correspondence with him. The whole thing should be typed out.
Absolutely.
But I have a question. If he's requesting an open session, is there a reason why we don't want to grant him that?
Yes.
What is
The
it?
answer to your question is yes.
I don't think that you even want to go there.
Well, I'm just asking.
Because, have you ever tried to get in a debate with him?
I
don't think she knows who it is.
Well, I know who it is.
Oh, yeah, she knows very well.
Yeah, you're right, you do.
But you have
He is
not,
a brilliant,
you have not,
brilliant debater.
you have not enjoyed the pleasure of having dealt with
He
him in
knows
the
more
past.
about the history of this fort than most people will ever dream about.
Well, then, I'd like to make a motion that we offer, I'd like to make a motion that we offer this member the opportunity to have an executive session with us, right? Is that what we're saying?
Yep.
On May 16th. And that he will be provided a very thorough and precise detail of what to expect from that session.
Correct. I would also add that we will record the meeting, and which we are allowed to do, and we will notify them that. You'll probably record it also.
I second that one.
We have a motion and a second to allow me to provide that notification to the member. All those in favor? We now come to something new, the director's open discussion. I'm going to start it off. This is to allow directors to discuss things back and forth. We often have our hands tied by requirements. If there's 3 or more directors, it's a form, and you have to give notices and all that. So this is an opportunity for the directors to discuss any items they want to. I hope that we can keep it brief. I will also mention that there will be no executive session today. There's no need for one. So with that, we did have some concerns expressed regarding a couple of items, 3 items. And I'm going to address one, then I guess Richard is going to address 2. The first one was conflict of interest concern, where it was stated, I feel it is not in the interest of this board to make recommendations or voice opinions about hearsay. If we do not know something to be fact, we have no business accusing others of wrongdoing without proof. My response, this is really not a conflict of interest issue, the specific one we were talking about, but an ethics issue. Directors should not, in their capacity as a board representative, engage in presenting remarks from others relating to unproven incidents. If there is proof and the incident relates to the association, then it should be brought to the attention of the full board of directors or the executive officer or both. And I would add on here, it is important that we as directors realize that when we have email communications going back and forth at some times in this upcoming email vote, there is no guaranteed cloak of confidentiality. Whatever you may put in those emails may very well end up anywhere and everywhere. And so I would caution you to keep that in mind. I would also like to once again reiterate that none of us as individual directors can supervise and direct any employee. That's any employee. That has to come from the board as a whole. So if we have concerns or things that we want, we need to bring them to the board and have the board unite behind them and present them to the employee. With that, the next 2 items, Mr. Lawrence is going to address.
I'm first time I was ever here.
There's going to be a visiting session between the board and the
But
members.
it's not on a point that you just brought up. But
No, this is not a discussion open. Sorry. Richard?
I presented to you the written response that I had to the 2 concerns that were, and frankly, it was such a brilliant dissertation, I doubt that you'll even have any questions about it. No, I'm joking, of course. The question concerned common property assessments. It was, the questions were raised, it says, about why common property assessments are only sent to active memberships and not to inactive memberships. If these assessments are not paid, what are the membership privileges that are revoked? And where might these be found? And how does a membership become inactive? In response to that, I wrote that the Fort Clark Springs Association has on record 1,357 inactive memberships, which might be better identified as abandoned memberships. These inactive memberships represent those accounts that are dormant. These are members who are delinquent in their payment of membership assessments. Their whereabouts are unknown. We've had very little success in communicating with them. There's little or no hope of recouping payment for the back due assessments. Now, how does the membership become inactive? Well, movement of an account from active to inactive is largely an audit function. It's executed when the management determines that it should be written off as no longer collectible. These memberships, then what is due then goes into what we see as bad debt on your P&Ls there. And the bad debt expense that's reported on those P&Ls, they are in part the reason why this association doesn't pay income taxes. Our plan is to pursue the inactive accounts using some of the modern people search applications that are online. We're going to see if we can identify who they are and where they are and reach out to them. And in many cases, it may be that rather than to pay the back due assessment, they would give back the properties that they own, that they have title to. And that will then allow us to eventually replat some of the units that are out there in the colonious areas, replat those units and reclaim some of the needed 1,600 acres of common property. So that's an effort that we will be making here, but our focus has not been on these abandoned accounts. Rather, we have been focused on those active accounts that are severely delinquent, and those are the ones that's where we're trying to focus our attention to collect from those where we know who they are and where they are. Generally speaking, the loss of membership privileges is the loss, as I said earlier, the loss of access, use, and enjoyment of the common properties in whatever form that may take. For all intent and purposes, if a member loses privileges, that member is considered pretty much as a non-member, with the exception of being able to vote and serve on this board. The next question raised was regarding foreclosed property. It says a residential lot previously foreclosed on for failure to pay taxes has been purchased. How will the back dues be handled? Will the new owner be responsible for 100% of the back dues and the assessments? Here we're talking about a property that has been foreclosed on by the Kinney County Appraisal District and sold on the courthouse steps at an auction. Now, I spoke with the appraisal district's attorney about this very thing, and it was explained to me that in a foreclosure, the court orders that the property be seized and sold and the proceeds distributed first to the senior lien holders, which would be Kinney County and B.O.D and the Independent School District. Those are the senior lien holders. And then if there's anything left over, it would go to the junior lien holders, which is the bank and Fort Clark Springs Association. If anything is left over at all, you have to understand that these properties, when they're sold for a pittance. And there's very rarely any time that there would be something left over after the senior lien holders collect. So the person who buys the property on the courthouse steps gets the property free and clear. Fort Clark Springs Association then writes off its back due assessments. This is different though when a property is sold from one member to a new member. Somebody's going to be responsible for those assessments, and all of that information is included in the documents which goes to the title company before the sale is made. I hope that answers it adequately.
So the new member that purchased that property, is he gonna have to buy a membership now?
Whoever has the title has the membership.
He has the membership.
Yeah.
Does he have to pay a transfer fee?
He has to pay a transfer fee. He has to pay the back due assessments if the original owner did not.
Okay.
Now, I'll also mention to you that it's often it may be in our best interest when there is a property that has been seized by the appraisal district, it goes to the courthouse steps. It is not sold, it then goes into their escrow, it goes into their inventory. If we determine that that property may be to our advantage, we can offer pennies on the dollar and take possession of that property, and it goes back onto the tax rolls at that time. It may be to our advantage to do that in our efforts to gather those properties within a particular unit that we need to replat, but that's down the road.
I have a question. So backing up a little bit to where you said that whoever purchased that property on the courthouse steps, that they would pay the transfer fee, which is part
Yes,
of
they
the
will pay the
process.
transfer fee.
But where in their documents would it have told them that they were responsible for the back dues?
No,
No, you
misunderstood.
can't.
I'm saying that they are not responsible.
Okay, because I missed that.
They
now.
get it free and clear.
Okay.
Yeah, but they have to pay a transfer fee because now they're a member.
Right,
But that's being transferred into their name.
okay, really good.
If they have new assessments,
understand that.
then they have to pay that.
So new assessments based on the date that
Right,
they take
right, right.
ownership.
So I've got a
Correct.
question. So if they owe Fort Clark an abundance of money and they don't owe the tax office so much, why don't we foreclose on that property and have,
I thought we were.
Well, you may.
this one's already been seized by the tax office,
Yes,
so.
okay,
Right, yeah.
okay, good. But you're talking about, let's say that they are current in their taxes but delinquent in their assessments. That happens
Right.
quite often.
Exactly, I know.
Quite often. And I'm not sure you're aware, but the previous board just, at last meeting, retained an attorney who will be helping us to pursue first the liens and then the foreclosures.
Okay,
We're moving on that
okay.
Very good,
aggressively.
very good.
Because it might be to our advantage to go ahead and foreclose on it and then pay the taxes, or the taxes may be paid on them, or maybe.
Maybe.
So-
Sometimes it's not to our advantage that the taxes may
Exactly,
be
that's
far
what
more
I'm
than the
saying, is that
property's
being
worth.
looked at?
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard. As I said there, first of all, is there anything that anyone else would like to bring up at this time among the directors?
What you mentioned about the list of what we
Oh, yes, thank you very much, Bill. You reminded me. I would like to ask all of us to, by the next meeting, to put together a list up to a maximum of 4 issues or concerns that we would like to have addressed and accomplished during this coming year. And then we can put them all together in a hat, so to speak, and prioritize them so that we can work together as a unit and as a team and not individually, so that the right hand knows what the left hand is doing. So if you could do that, I would appreciate it. We may have to have a workshop after that list is together, if we can agree on one, to prioritize where we want to go. Just give us some
President.
direction.
Can we include in that the repair and replacement plan so that we know what are the priorities as we go about?
Certainly, that would be appropriate for the workshop on our prioritizing what we need to do.
Thank you.
So with that, if nobody else has anything else, we're going to move to confirm the next regular board meeting. The time and date will be Wednesday, May 16th, 2018. And please note this time change, 9:30 a.m. And before I do the adjournment, once again, I would like to remind everyone that, as Debbie Isaacs pointed out, there's a suggestion box up in the administration office that is monitored by a board member, and you can put your concerns, ideas in there. Or you can contact the director and say, I would like this item or that item put onto the agenda, so that you have your input. So we need to handle these things in an orderly, calm fashion, so we don't end up just all over the place. And I really appreciate all your cooperation today, too. Thank you. With that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor? The meeting is adjourned at 10:36 a.m. And we now have come forth and discuss anything you'd like.
Thank you so much.
Did you all get that? You need signatures.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to